Bristol Community College, Mathematics with Dan Avedikian, Math 060, Topics in Developmental Mathematics, Section 3.5, Problem 9. This is Section 3.5, Problem 9. We have 6.2 divides into 2,356. So what we need to do really is do something with the decimal in the 6.2. We have to really make it a 62. We have to push the decimal over one spot, or as many as we need to get all the way to the right of the number outside of the division symbol or divisor. So if I pull that over one spot, the decimal for the number under the division symbol or dividend has to go over the same number of spots. So if it's one spot out in front, it's got to be one spot underneath. There's no decimal written the way the problem originally appears, so you can assume it's at the end, at the far right. And if we move it one spot, you fill in that spot with a 0. And essentially, you're doing the problem 62 divides into 23560. That's going to be the answer, and this way it's written without any decimals. So start dividing. 62 divides into 2. 2 is just not big enough, so go over another digit. 62 divides into 23. 23 is still not big enough. It won't go into 23. So 62 divides into 235. That's kind of big. So it will certainly fit in. Now, how many times? To get an estimate, ignore the 2 for a minute. So times 1 is 60, 2 is 120, 3 is 180, 4 is 240. 240 goes too far. So it's got to be 3. So that gives me an estimate to get started with. And then I'll get a more exact answer as I start writing it. But I know it'll go in approximately 3 times. So now I start to multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. Then 3 times 6 is 18. And now I can subtract 235 minus 186. That's not something that you're just going to do that smoothly in your head. So I'll borrow, right? 5 minus 6, the 5 is not big enough. So borrow from the 3, write it as a 2. Make the 5 a 15. Now 15 minus 6 is 9. Next column over, 2 minus 8, I have to borrow again. The 2 is not big enough to subtract 8. So go out one more position, borrow from the 2 that's to the left, reduce it to a 1. That 2 that I had from the previous borrowing can now be written as a 12. Now 12 minus 8, that'll go. That's 4. In front of it, 1 minus 1, that just cancels off basically. So now I have 49. So now what I want to do is bring down the next digit. 6, put it next to the 49. So I have 496. I want to divide 62 into 496. Again, those numbers are getting too big to just look at. It's not like 6 goes into 15, how many times you can get close. 62 into 496. So again, ignore the 2 briefly. Just use 60 as an estimate. 160 is 60. 2 60s, 120. 3 60s, 180, still not big enough. 4 60s, 240, still not big enough. 5 60s would be 300, getting closer. 6 60s, 360. 7 60s, 420, that's getting pretty close. That was 7. 8 times 60 is 480, right? 8 times 6 is 48, but you put the 0 on the end. So 480, that's very close. That's 8. 9 times 60 would be 54 with a 0, 540. I got too big. 540 goes past that. So 8 was as close as I could get. So I'll put an 8 and then multiply and get an exact number. I was getting an estimate. 8 times 2 is 16. Well, that looks good. So 16, write the 6, carry the 1. 8 times 6 is 48. 48 plus 1 more that I carried is 49. Very good. So now I subtract 496 minus 496. That's 0. The next digit is a 0. I'll bring it down. 62 divides into 0. Well, 0 times. 0 times 62 is 0. Remainder is 0. So the final answer is 380. That's the answer to the original problem of 6.2 divided into 2,356. 380.